Dudes, it's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So today we're talking about the next Prime Access, which will be mostly a prediction, but we're also talking about who's guaranteed to be getting vaulted next, and going over my best Prime Access of 2024 poll. So let's get right into that stuff. But before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, news videos, discussion videos, all that kind of stuff in the right place for Warframe content. And yeah, we'll be covering the big Warframe dev stream on Friday. That's going to have a guaranteed combined Tau Shard as a drop. So yeah, ton of stuff to go over starting on Friday. But yeah, since Zaku Prime's been out for about 2 or 3 weeks, I thought it would be time, or I figured it would be time to just go over who is going to be next here. But do keep in mind that since they skipped to Zaku Prime for the recent Prime Access, this is definitely more of a prediction than usual as far as who's going to be next. Let's start off with the first part, though. Who I think will be the next Prime Access in about probably February of 2025, because Prime Accesses usually last about 3 months, and Zaku came out about mid-November. Alright, so as far as the next Prime Access for Warframe, I am predicting it will be Lavos Prime. Chronologically, Lavos should be the next one, as long as I don't do any weird skipping stuff that I did to Zaku. Now, as far as Lavos Prime, and will the Prime Access be good, and what weapons will they have? Well, Lavos does have their signature shotgun, the Cedo, which is a very powerful shotgun. It's got built-in condition overload, pretty much. It's also got a glaive launcher that has AoE, and a primary shot that's like a pellet shotgun that just hits pretty hard and you mod it properly. That glaive launcher can actually do a bunch of built-in procs, so this thing is really, really good. Now, as far as the other weapon with Lavos, Lavos only had one signature weapon, but that's the same case with what happened with Zaku. So I want to go ahead and predict that just like Zaku getting the Trumna, I think Lavos will get the other Grandmother Token pistol, or the Grandmother Token gun from Deimos, will be the Sepulchrum. So the Sepulchrum is a very, very slow feeling, it's kind of similar to the Trumna actually, a very clunky feeling Orokin Entrati gun. Once you get enough kills to this thing, just like the Trumna, you get a special alt fire. This will unleash homing rockets on multiple enemies. It's okay. It's also got really, really bad reload speed, just like the Trumna, as you can see. So, as far as buffs that I would expect on the Sepulchrum Prime, if they actually do it, they would definitely shave down that reload speed. The other stats are pretty high. I mean, I guess 48 damage isn't that high, but yeah, it's got explosion shot as well. So you got a radial attack, and you have a direct hit on this thing. So I think they'll buff the reload speed at least. And then maybe like a couple other buffs here and there, just like the Trumna, but still really low stat room. I actually got rid of my room this thing a while ago. Maybe I'll pick up a new one. And for the Cedo, this thing is very, very strong. I use this to one-shot liches all the time. But as far as what like buff to it would provide, maybe some kind of crit buff, maybe some kind of base damage buff, whatever it would be, this thing is already top tier. I use it for high-level missions all the time, pretty much. It's like a very good procer weapon to use. So any kind of buff would be crazy. And also, if you like this thing, don't expect a crazy buff. Expect like an ammo pool buff or something awful like that. So not the best, but yeah, as far as Lavos getting a Prime, since they chronologically should be the next one, that's going to mean that I can actually put Umbra Forma on Lavos Prime without feeling bad about it. I know this isn't like a fully maxed out build, because I'd like to use Umbra mods on Lavos, but I don't want to put any Umbra Forma on a non-Prime frame that is, or non-Prime frame that's going to have a frame potentially in the next couple of months. So yeah, I think that would be great for Lavos players. I actually do recommend some people try out Lavos, because he has very high base stats for Steel Path. So very high armor, very high health. Now, they do have cooldowns and stuff like that. I'm not expecting a Lavos rework. A lot of people hate the cooldowns. I don't really care about them too much. If I don't feel like dealing with cooldowns, I just won't play Lavos that day. That's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, let's move on to who's going to be vaulted, because it's probably going to be Lavos, but there's like a small chance it's Yoreli instead if they feel like being goofy. Who's going to get vaulted when Lavos Prime comes out in probably February? It's going to be Hildryn, actually. Hildryn Prime has been out long enough, she will be vaulted next. And the weapons and other items of Hildryn Prime are going to be the Shade Prime Sentinel, which is just the worst version of the Hurrahs, but you guys keep telling me to try to use it. And also the Arcwing Gun, the Larkspur Prime. Again, another thing that is just not really heavily used that much. But yeah, this is the Larkspur Prime, the signature Arcwing Gun of Hildryn. So yeah, all that stuff I just showed you for her is going to get vaulted. So Normal Hildren's pretty annoying to farm, so make sure you get Hildren Prime before she gets vaulted. She's very, very cheap as far as platinum prices, though. Now that we've gone over those things, and I mean, like, yeah, it's just, by the way, there is no chance that it's not Hildren getting vaulted. Unlike Lavos, where it's like, well, they could technically skip things around. They are not going to skip things around. Hildren is guaranteed to get vaulted after the next Prime Access comes out. And then after that, it should be Wisp. Yeah, Wisp after that, dude. Get those Wisp sets stacked up, I guess, because she'll definitely go up in price. Now, as far as Hildren going up in price and the Shade going up, most of this stuff is just, like, Shade Prime to me, this is slightly above Mastery Fodder, but the fact it's worse than the Haraz makes it pretty much Mastery Fodder to me. And then as far as the Larkspur Prime, it just has such bad... The Arcwing Gun mods are just so bad that it doesn't really have a chance, in my opinion. Also, base radiation is kind of stinky. But yeah, moving on to the poll, as far as the most popular Prime Access of 2024, here are the results from 12,000 votes. So, I did word it as, like, what is the best Prime Access, like, including the weapons, and I think people took that as, like, what's the most OP, and that's probably, that would check out pretty well if Protea got 8% of the vote, and Sevagoth got 48% of the vote. So, yeah. As a Sevagoth enjoyer, I can't deny the fact that Prime Access was stacked. But going over the other ones of the year as well, we had the first Prime Access of 2024 was Gauss Prime with the Exceltra and Icarius Prime. I use the Icarius Prime a lot. I try not to use Gauss too much because it's easy to get used to how much fire rate and reload speed he gives you. So it can just kind of make you spoiled for weapons, I found. So I try to not play Gauss too much, because he just buffs reload speed and fire rate so much. It makes weapons feel weird. But yeah, Exceltra also pretty fun for like AoE, like rapid fire gun. But yeah, the Icarius is the main item I use from that Prime Access, and I use it a lot with Mirage for speed clearing exterminates. For Sevagoth Prime Access, I'm going to be honest with you, I use the entire Access. Sevagoth Prime, Epitaph Prime, and Nautilus Prime, I use those, all three of those, a lot. The one I probably use the most would probably be the Epitaph Prime, and it's funny because they actually buffed the Epitaph Prime a lot compared to the Epitaph normal. They actually even increased the AoE size of the explosion. So they really wanted that Prime Access to be OP, and OP it was. It also had the Verglas Prime rifle, which is pretty much just a normal Warframe primary attached to the Nautilus. So yeah, very, very good stuff there. You could literally just run that entire Prime Access in a high-level mission, and it would do great. So yeah, they made a great bundle for that one. And it looks like a lot of people agreed. It was 48% of the vote. So like nearly half the vote was Sevagoth Prime. Now, for the one that got the least votes, now keep in mind, when this Prime Access came out, the Okina Incarna was not released yet. We didn't even know there was an Okina Incarna on the way. So, but yeah, now we do, and people are still not looking at it any differently. So, Protea Prime, Velox Prime, bleh, and then the Okina Prime, which was kind of, they were just good dual daggers basically back then. They were just super, super boring. But now that we got the Okina Incarna, I look at this one a little bit better. But yeah, the Velox Prime being one of the most underwhelming primes in the game kind of does drag it down a little bit. But yeah, Okina Incarna, very good. You can use on the Okina Normal or the Okina Prime. And Protea herself, she's extremely good. She can give like permanent shields basically. Her heat turrets are great. Dispensary is a very strong ability for like support. And her fourth ability usually is Helmet Off, but that can also, has an augment to remove enemy armor too. And the newest Prime Access, the Zaku Prime Access, with the Quasis Prime and Trumna Prime. Now, Zaku is very, very, very strong, and the Trumna and Quasis are strong too, but I don't find myself ever using the Trumna Prime or Quasis Prime, whereas I do use Zaku still for high-level missions. So, as far as the overall votes and stuff, these look extremely appropriate to me. If I could have voted for it, I definitely would have voted for Sevagoth Prime. It was definitely the best Prime Access of the year. And Protea was definitely the most underwhelming of the year because there was no Incarna for the Okina back then. And it's just it's a golden version of Protea, basically. The Velox, what the heck is the Velox even doing, right? Like, it's so underwhelming. Every other gun on this list is better than the Velox Prime. That should say a lot, so that's basically it for the video, guys. Hope you found it fun and helpful. Lavos Prime should be next with the Cedo Prime and potentially the Sepulchrum Prime if they follow the line of thinking they had for Zaku. And Hildren Prime, Shade Prime, and Larkspur Prime will be vaulted next. All right, I'll see you guys on stream tonight. We're going to do some dev stream bingo and some other fun stuff. And yeah, I will be not streaming on Thursday probably, but I'll be streaming the entire weekend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we can all talk about the dev stream and have some fun. Do some double XP as well. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.